The Acolyte, Season 1. This will be a full spoiler review. I have a review up on my blog, soundedbettermyhead.com. It's a little tiny spoilerish, but I kept it as clean as I could. I ended up giving this a 2 out of 5. It wasn't that great. I wouldn't say it was terrible. And a lot of my love for the show that I'm giving, if you want to call it love, is for the action sequences mostly, to be honest. I think without those, the show drops down a notch. It's a confusing show. The gist is that it's supposed to be some kind of a mystery. Initially, I think I was telling people I think it's a murder mystery, but I don't think you can call it that. You know, you basically, the first episode, you already know who the killer is, and by the end of the second episode, you already know who her targets are, and then by the third episode, you get most of her motivation to why she's doing this. You get some follow-up later, but after the first 3 episodes, you kind of know just about everything you need to know. The only thing really left mystery-wise is exactly what happened on Brendock and why all this stuff happened, and we get that in episode 7. I think another thing that really hurts is the story structure. The way they did the episodes this season, I think, really was not really conductive. They dropped the first 2 episodes on day 1. I thought it was a really good setup for what the show was going to be. I don't think anything really grabbed me that much. You got your basic setup. First 2 episodes is great, and then this third episode they do all flashback, and it takes you out of it, because it's not like, it wasn't portrayed as this is OSHA remembering what happened, or it's just like, oh, by the way, here's what happened 16 years ago. And then later on, it kind of implied this is from OSHA's point of view, especially the end, because you get all this detail, which it helps you find more about these characters and their motivations and what they were like before. And then at the end, it's like they so clearly skip, important things that happen. Like, it's just like, okay, this fire breaks out and everybody is dead, and then they leave. Then you get episode 3, it's a bit of a slow start. Really picks up at the end, you really get into it, and it just stops right in the middle of this big fight's about to start. It's like, come on, like, that was such a cheap, move there. And then having to wait the week to pick up on it, and not to mention that the episode was barely a half an hour long. And then you get episode 5, which is a solid episode, probably the best of the season. The ending's a little wonky, but it was really good overall. I think they could have dropped both these episodes one night. Everybody said they're both barely a half an hour. Drop them, another 2 episodes. So as soon as you get that cliffhanger and you're pissed, you throw the next one on. Yeah, if you're streaming it later on, you also could avoid that problem. But first time viewers are kind of like, this show already has so much bad will towards it. Like, anything you give people to harp on wasn't helping it. And then it's fine and then episode 5, I think, is where the show loses its footing. It's like, I don't know where this story's going. There's a lot of stuff going on I don't care about. I don't care that May switched places with OSHA, because it didn't really seem to lead to anything. The OSHA stuff with Chimere, or the Stranger, as Star Wars wants to call him, was the most interesting part of that. Vernestra, wasn't sure what they were setting up with that. Episode 7 was the second flashback episode. Again, it kind of kills momentum. You do learn the other side of the story. There's a lot of assumptions, good or bad, you make in the first flashback episode that are cleared up here. There's still some stuff that was kind of like iffy, but we basically got a pretty good idea what happened that day, and then it just ends. It's like, again, it's just kind of printed out of context. It's like, hey, audience, here's what happened, from the Jedi side of the story. And the previous episode was supposed to be kind of, Sol was about to tell May what happened, but it just didn't feel like that coming in, and then it just ends. It's not like, and that was my story. It's just like, okay, then you go on to the next episode. It's just, I feel like it's just presented to the audience, and I think that makes it lose something, lose a lot of the impact. And then you wrap up, and then by the time it's done, you're like, oh, where is this going? Like, are we gonna come back like May's like shocked at this? Because they knew about a good chunk of this stuff, especially the worst of it. And this is a story that should have been meant for OSHA, and it's just like, okay, and that was the story, and I guess we go on. It just, I said, the structure just does not work, and I think it also hurts is just the 8 episodes. No, 40 minutes is like considered a long episode. Everything is way too short, and you just don't get the full story. There's so many different ways this thing could have gone. And I probably would have another half-hour long video if I told you some of the things I think would have saved the story, but I don't want to get into that. I'm not going to record that long. As far as the character stuff, love Saul in the beginning. He's basically your Qui-Gon character. Obviously, you know, he did something shady in the past. You get hints of it, you know, throughout the season. You know, the big reveal is not. He comes off like a little bit of a dick. Like he's so obsessed with getting the twins, especially the Osha. But at least there's logic to what he did, and you know that he did regret it, which is fine. But then in the end, he's just like basically doubles down on it. He's like, hey, what I did, I had to do as long as I get those twins out of there. It's like he wasn't turning the dark side. He was just too wishy-washy to be on the dark side. But it's like he definitely wasn't feeling coming off like a Jedi at that point. So just didn't care for. It's like he's not going to be going out as one of my like favorite Star Wars characters. Like he's not a good villain or a hero. I understand they're going for flawed, but it's the same thing. Osha and May. Osha starts off fine. She's very relatable, and it's just like she just kind of taps out of her own story. Like the third episode at the beginning, she's like, "All right, we're done. I'm not a murderer. You guys cleared my name. It was my sister. I'll see you later." And they have to egg her back into the story, and she's just there for kind of the ride, just to help out Saul a little bit. She don't or Soul. It's like she doesn't. There's no motivation. She's not like, I want to get my sister. She's a bitch. I hate her. Like she's not in it for anything, and it just her story kind of, you know, sputters out. Then they got her being tempted with the dark side, which kind of got interesting, but just didn't care about her character enough to, you know, for that to mean anything. And even when she has the dark side turn at the end, it's like I don't really care. And then May is the opposite. She's an assassin, but they make her kind of like relatable, like almost like you should be like just cool hanging out with her. She's not pure evil, but then the first flashback really makes it look like she just threatened to murder her sister and set the whole building on fire and killed everybody. Like, you're making her like a character you shouldn't like, and then playing her like she's just like, you know, she's fine. And then, you know, then ultimately we do find out like she's not so much in the wrong, but by then you're at the end of the season. And like, yeah, Yord was fine. He's kind of a dork, but it's a likable dork, and you can kind of see maybe, okay, his character grows, like crazy stuff happens. He's got to grow beyond being this like, you know, by the book Jedi, and then you got Jackie, who's also very interesting. It's like you can see she's eventually gonna be like a badass Jedi someday. So it's kind of cool watching her journey. This is her first big mission, and then they kill them both off, which was a ballsy move. But it's like basically the two characters I was most invested in, you know, were taken off the table at this point. I think a lot of fans guessed pretty early on that the Master was going to end up being Chimera, and of course everyone was basically right that thought that, and the clues are pretty much there that you knew. But it was kind of fun watching them play both sides. They act like the idiot, and then you finally see the reveal. The episode where he was trying to seduce Osha was like one of the more interesting parts of the latter episodes, and now you want to know his backstory. You want to know what his deal is. He actually became pretty interesting in the end, but again, then that was the end of the season. And you got other minor characters like Vernestra, who she comes off as shady. Like the little bit I know about her from the books, like she shouldn't be turning to the dark side, so it wouldn't have made as much sense that she was evil. So I'm glad to see that she wasn't evil. It's just she knew more than she was letting on. Let's just say. And not too much. I don't want to go into too much of the other characters. Like Torben, when he's an adult, you barely see him. As a kid, he's a bigger whiner than Anakin and Luke ever were. He just wanted to go home. It was just kind of corny. And Dara actually started off as like, oh, she sucks. She was actually a pretty cool Jedi. Like this is the Jedi you want to like, have on your side and train under. Like, it's again, that's where the thing worked out, where you see 2 points of view and you realize that she's not as bad as people thought she was. And then Kanaka just had his one badass scene. Other than that, I had my problems with the prequel trilogy, but I like the concept. I like seeing Jedis in their prime and the Jedi in the Republic, and that's what you get here, which I thought was pretty cool. Some really cool design. Some of it was new. Some of it was like a transition between what I've seen of like High Republic stuff and the prequels. So I like the look of everything. I thought a lot of the effects, especially the CGI, looked kind of bad. Like it just looked like a scene from a video game. I think that I kind of really heard it, and some of the backgrounds just didn't look real. It looked like they were on a set, or possibly even using the volume. And I think sometimes they weren't, and it just didn't look. It just didn't look right. It looked fake. I think that kind of killed things. I think the best part about the show were the fight scenes. They definitely want like this kung fu style with wire work and stuff. Not only were the lightsaber fights really cool, but usually when you're watching Star Wars, if for whatever reason a Jedi loses his lightsaber, he's basically useless. He's just trying to throw some couple kicks and some punches, and it looks like an average person can almost fight him. Like they don't seem to have much fighting skill. Even the animated series, they got their agility and they're doing force pushes or whatever, but they don't got any kind of like martial arts background. But every Jedi here, they don't need a weapon; they can fight hand to hand. So it's really cool, watching this. And it's like, so they don't got a lightsaber, you still got an exciting fight sequence. I do hope that they do explain later on, like why did these Jedi's go from being able to handle themselves unarmed to being useless without a lightsaber like 100 years later. I mean, I can see some theories out there about they got started getting away from combat and started being more like diplomatic, but it'd be nice if it would be brought up just to clarify it. So basically, overall, each episode there was always something that I liked. I'm a big Star Wars nerd, so each episode I'm like, oh, that's cool. They got that in there. They brought that from the extended universe, so that's from the prequels. So they did something new here. That's pretty cool. So every episode I was looking forward to stuff, and I saw stuff that was cool. But each episode was just so usually, and like I said, just the overall story wasn't that great. The pacing was bad. You couldn't get into it. Didn't really care for the characters. The ending, never would have guessed the way it was going to end based on the first 2 episodes, but not even necessarily in a good way. It was just kind of like, okay, that's a weird choice. Other than that, I did take a few notes, things I thought were worth mentioning that I probably didn't cover in my little rambles so far. Weird that we see this Torben putting off this force field in the second episode. That's kind of a newer Jedi power that we've seen. Grogu may or may have not have used something similar in The Mandalorian, and like he was sitting on this pedestal and it was glowing. I don't know if that was supposed to be the pedestal putting out the force field or Grogu, so it's not totally unheard of. I thought that episode may have a weird change of heart, because like I said, she was killing these Jedis, but then she never seemed like she was angry, like I want these guys dead, even though the stuff that they did. And then it's just like, well, my sister's alive, so never mind, I'm gonna go hang out with them. Just like they kind of got into the final episode, but apparently Osha had this hatred of her sister all this time. That's why she couldn't complete the Jedi training. But it never felt like that. She never, it's like, I saw my sister and like, I hate you. Like she even looked like she could have taken a shot at her with the stun gun earlier on, and intentionally missed. Like I said, the episode 5 fight scene was awesome. Really cool seeing the cortosis thrown in there, shorting out the lightsabers. They did a good job at tricking you by bringing all these red shirt Jedis and saying, okay, yeah, they're going to die, and killing them, but then killing, a couple main characters, and suddenly you're like, oh crap, like anybody could die. And just the fact that he basically implied, since he's a Sith, none of these people are allowed to know that he exists, and they're all got to die. And the fact that a lot of Jedi don't think the Sith, exists like even 100 years later. They like think it's been a good 1,000 years without him. So it's like, oh wow, any of these guys could die. And then there's a couple key moments in this that's the second flashback episode that like kind of like had me scratching my head a bit. The first big one is there's about to be this confrontation between the witches and the Jedi. Mother Anastasia starts turning into this black mist, and so does May. And then Sol thinks something bad's happening, so he stabs her and kills her. But it should have been more clear, because I'm assuming that she wasn't doing anything evil. Like, she wasn't attacking him, she wasn't attacking May, she was probably trying to protect them, but it was so vague. I wanted to be like, dude, you should have waited a second. She wasn't trying to kill anyone, and now you just murdered her, basically. And then the second one that was confusing was when Nara broke the witch's hold on Kanaka, they all just collapsed, and it's like, was that enough to kill them? That's kind of weird. It seems more likely they would have maybe been unconscious, but if that was the case, then they basically left them all to burn. So I'm hoping that they were just dead, but it's just kind of weird that killed them. Like, it would be great if there was more straining, maybe there was blood coming out of their nose, something to make you say, oh, this is really, straining on them. And it wasn't very clear. The last fight scene was pretty cool. They went kind of full Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon with it. Some stuff looked a little wonky, especially the first shot when they're falling out of that walkway. Did like seeing the Kyber Crystal get bled in live action for the first time. Looked a little weird, but it was cool seeing it. It's kind of shocking that basically the cover up of Brendock was covered up by another Vernestra now, so it was like a cover up on top of a cover up. But I guess that kind of helps explain some of the Jedi's downfall later on. We got a Force memory wipe, which I think might be brand new, unless it's something that was in a some old non-canon stuff now. I thought that was a little dicey. Didn't know a Jedi could selectively delete part of your memory, because it seems like something you would maybe use a little bit more. And then we did get a couple cameos. We got the cameo of Yoda at the end, which is kind of like, I don't know, it didn't really do much for me. It's just like, all right, whatever, it's Yoda. And then the Darth Plagueis was so in the shadows and so inconsequential. It's just like, oh look, who's here? Like, it didn't do much besides be like, hey, we finally saw him. But I think that's it. That's about it. I don't want to go too nuts on this one. Like I said, there was a lot of potential there, and I think it just didn't work. I don't know. They were trying to do something a little bit different, and I don't think it worked out. I got, like I said, the non-spoiler version of this review, or pretty close to being non-spoiler, on my blog. I have some other TV reviews. I got movie reviews. I got my comic strip. All that stuff's at soundedbettermyhead.com. So if you want to check that out, that's awesome. Other than that, thanks for watching.